Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down a seriously fascinating strategy from Fastgrowing.ai on how to stop sounding like a robot and start winning in the generative search era. Look, if you or your team rely on AI to help draft content, you already know the struggle. You want it to sound like you, but you end up with something that just feels stiff, lifeless. Well, you definitely need to hear this strategy, because the rules of organic growth have fundamentally changed, and fixing that robotic tone is literally a matter of survival now.
Okay, let's just get right to the big question. Why is your brand completely invisible when high-intent buyers are asking platforms like ChatGPT or Perplexity for vendor advice? I mean, you might be pumping out articles every single week, pouring hours into content creation, just trying to stay relevant. But then, when it's time for an AI to actually make a recommendation to a real buyer, crickets. Your name is nowhere to be found. So why is that happening?
To answer that, here is our roadmap for today. 1. The AI slop problem. 2. Spotting generic AI writing. 3. The voice extraction system. And 4. Winning in Search 2.0. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. The AI slop problem and the threat to your organic visibility.
We have to start by clearly defining the actual enemy of modern B2B marketing right now, and that is AI slop. It's basically that low-quality, formulaic content churned out by large language models that has absolutely zero human domain expertise. It relies entirely on predictable patterns and filler words. We've all seen it, that over-processed, template-heavy text blanketing the internet that just feels incredibly hollow to read. And here's why it's so dangerous. Not only does it dilute your brand authority, but it actively repels generative AI engines. When an answer engine scans this stuff, it classifies it as low-value noise and tosses it right out. It basically says, nope, nothing original to see here.
And that brings us to a massive paradigm shift. In the age of Search 2.0 or generative engine optimization, churning out high volumes of keyword-dense slop simply doesn't work anymore. Keyword stuffing is dead. To win today, you need entity authority. That essentially means the AI recognizes your brand as a verified, trusted expert on a specific topic, rather than just some website repeating the same keyword 50 times. You need a process that actually teaches the AI how to talk about your team's deep, real-world experience.
Moving on to Section 2, spotting generic AI writing and purging robotices from your drafts. There is a pretty wild contrast between generic default AI output and a properly trained brand voice. Just look at the vocabulary. Default AI loves dropping big, empty buzzwords like game-changing or unlocking potential. A trained brand voice. It uses industry-specific terms in plain, direct language. Then look at the structure. AI slop relies heavily on binary contrasts like it's not X, it's Y, and a whole lot of safe and sitting language. An authentic voice takes a strong first-person stance and mixes up the rhythm with abrupt, short lines. In terms of style, generic AI gives you dramatic clickbait and fake epiphanies, which, let's be honest, we're all exhausted by. A trained voice gives real business insights backed by direct data. The result? AI slop gets ignored by LLMs and drives zero conversions. A trained voice gets recommended by ChatGPT and builds immense buyer trust. So, to fix your writing immediately, you've got to stop publishing default drafts without redlining them first. You need to relentlessly purge the telltale filler words that just scream, "A robot wrote this." Words like transformative, game-changing, seamless, robust, leverage, navigate, or ever-evolving. If you're using these, you literally sound like a robot. It's basically the linguistic equivalent of elevator music. Oh, and you also need to ban that sanctimonious AI praise, like starting a paragraph with, "Great question." You've got to strip all of this away before you ever hit publish.
All right, Section 3, the voice extraction system, and the 5 steps to train your AI.
Here's the really exciting part. You have to completely ditch those vague prompt requests like, hey, write this in a conversational and professional tone. It doesn't work. It's way too subjective. Instead, you need to activate a teach-first 5-step extraction system to lock in your true domain authority. Step 1, raw material library. Step 2, style analysis. Step 3, stress test and redline. Step 4, lock prompt parameters. And Step 5, the voice dictation hack.
Let's zoom in on Step 1, because honestly, this is where most people fail right out of the gate. There's a strict requirement here. You need 10 to 20 raw, human-written files. We're talking unfiltered newsletters, actual client emails, or transcriptions of real sales calls where you were just speaking naturally. And crucially, you must never use polished material from an AI. Why? Because if you use fewer than 10 samples or feed the LLM text it previously generated, it won't pick up on your true human quirks. It's just going to default right back to its generic sloppy training patterns.
and you'll be stuck in the exact same loop.
Jumping ahead to step 4, these are the strict anti-slop prompt parameters you need to lock in once the AI analyzes your style. Give the AI hard boundaries, instruct it to maintain a strong first-person stance, tell it to alternate longer arguments with abrupt cutoff lines to keep the pacing dynamic, force it to use basic terms for complex concepts, and flatly call out industry craft. My personal favorites? You have to explicitly ban intro throat clearing, like starting with, "In the modern digital era." Absolutely not. You also need to ban headliner summaries that just repeat what was already said and entirely forbid passive, fence-sitting language. Now, if after all that you're still getting a draft that sounds stiff and corporate, step 5 is an absolute lifesaver. It's the voice dictation hack. Instead of pulling your hair out trying to manually rewrite a stubborn AI draft, just record yourself explaining the concept out loud, exactly how you'd casually describe it to a client over coffee. Then, transcribe it using a voice dictation tool and feed that raw text back to the AI with a very aggressive prompt, fixed grammar only, no additions, no rewrites. And the absolute most crucial rule, tell the AI, don't make me sound smarter. This forces the AI to act purely as a grammar checker, not an overeager ghostwriter, letting your genuine expertise actually shine through.
Finally, Section 4, Winning in Search 2.0 and Capturing the Organic Pipeline. Why does all this meticulous training actually matter for your bottom line? Well, this quote right here perfectly summarizes the stakes. Elimination of robotizees out of your website is not simply a writing style choice, but a fundamental demand of 2.0 customer acquisition. Think about that for a second. If you want conversational answer engines like Gemini and Perplexity to actually recommend your brand to buyers, purging this slop isn't optional, it's mandatory for survival. If you don't adapt, you just won't get found.
Because at the end of the day, conversational AI prioritizes 3 core pillars: entity clarity, original perspective, and real-world credibility. They do not care about your keyword density. By publishing authentic thought leadership that is completely devoid of style fluff, you're proving to these engines that you are a credible, authoritative entity worth recommending. When a buyer asks an AI for a vendor, the engine is looking for narrative transparency and real source support. Nail that with your real voice, and you capture the organic pipeline.
So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative question to really evaluate your own content pipeline today. Are you ready to absolutely dominate the new generative search ecosystem, or are you still publishing slop? It is time to take control of your voice and train the machine to work for your expertise, not against it. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.